something, that's going to make some sense. And just like you, Farhan, I'm going to start at the higher time frames. Sometimes a month is good, but what I tend to like to do is my setup is this. I give you an idea what I do. I'll either go to the monthly or the weekly, and then I'll look at lines when I'm looking at these high time frames. I look at lines instead of candles to kind of clean it up a little bit. Helps me to identify some things here. And so because I really, I like to try to pay attention to what's happening. A while ago, it kind of hit me to really pay attention to the time. And so what I started doing is this. I'll put these vertical lines in when I'm looking at this high time frame so that I could see a whole year, you know what I'm saying, at a glance. And so I'll do something like this for the first, few years. And then that way, what it allows me to do, when I get ready to do these, you talk about doing these, identifying the zones. In fact, how did I word that? Marking the supply and demand zones, right? So I'm
Yep.
looking at this and I'm saying, okay, we can go as far back as we want to go, but let's just go back, the last, couple of years. So, looking at 20, the end of 26 or the beginning of 2016, and I'll say, okay, cool, let's mark that. And then we look at, 2017, 28. So basically, that's kind of what I'm going to do initially, right? Looking for the major highs, the major lows, like you said, box and price in, right?
Yep.
And so just trying to get an idea, where are these major ones? And there are more that we can draw in here. You could probably put one there. So I'm doing that, just kind of taking a general sketch, right? Just a quick sketch to give me an idea. But then I'm also paying attention to the time. So I'm looking to see, okay, well, 2016, it was up, it went down, it went up again. 2017, it kind of did this little action here. Now we're into 2018. Where's it going to go? What was the last low, right? So the last time, when you look at that low that it came from, you see, well, when's the last time price was back at down that low? We're looking at way back in, April of 2016. So, so we're looking at that kind of action, right? On another pair, what I found was I was catching it right at the beginning of that turnaround, and so
Okay.
I was able to really do some damage with that. That was that NZD JPY. But at any rate, so I'm on these larger time frames, and then I'm going to scale it down, just like you, right? And so looking at these trends, identify the trends. So I'm going to take this here, and I'm going to go here, right? Looking for, right, just like you said, to identify a trend, 2 or more touches. And
Right.
for me, the more touches, the better, because
Right.
then that just confirms it confirms that particular level. So as I'm looking at it, I started to identify some. I was like, okay, so learning a little bit about these Elliott waves, and again, not to get too complicated, but checking out, this Elliott wave thing, and I'm looking at this. So I'm seeing these up moves. Remembering something that I think I heard in Vegas, we were talking about these 3 touches, and then the 4th one is going to break.
Yep.
So I'm like, all right, it goes up, touch. It goes up again, touch. These count all as 1 touch because they're so close together for me. Then
Right.
it goes up again, it touches. So that's 3. I'm like, okay, 1, 2, 3. The next time it hits that line, I'm expecting it to break that line. So I watch it go up again, and sure enough, it's breaking that line,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when I saw that, I'm like, all right, it broke the line. What do I expect next based on those rules? I expect it to retest that line. And we get exactly that action. We get that retest, right?
Right.
Once it retests. So then what I start doing in my journal is I'm writing my if-then statements. I know what price could do. I know what it should do. I know what I don't want it to do, right?
Right. There
So
you
so
go.
I'm looking at it and I'm saying, all right, if this, and I mean, I can go down even a little bit further and we kind of take a look at that. But I'm saying this. I'm saying I see that it broke that trend. I know that it's going to retest that trend, but when it does, it could do a couple of things. It could either break through it and keep on going,
Yep.
or it can bounce off of it. And when I see the bounce, I know it's going to be coming down, right? And I can
Right.
get in on that, right? So that was how I was looking at it, right? At some point, I still go into candles just so that I can kind of see where it's wicking at. But when the higher time frames, I like to start with it clean. So let me show you what I drew up. So you get kind of the way I did the analysis. I want to show you what I drew up to just kind of finish and close this thing out, so you can kind of see what happened. So this is what ended up happening. So this vertical line here, I don't know if you can see this, but this vertical line here, if you can see my cursor.
Yep. Yep. I see it.
This is the date that I did this analysis. I like to give this is kind of my way of journaling. So I put a vertical line to show this is when I drew everything that you see on the screen at the point of this vertical line, right?
Okay.
So that means I could not see anything that came after it,
Mm-hmm.
right? So at the time, I'm looking, all I can see is this major downward movement broke past the trend line, and that's when I made my if then statements. It broke past the trend line. I know it's got to go back up to retest that trend line. If it does, it's either going to break it or it's going to come back down. So I start drawing these arrows to identify what I think it might do, right?
Okay.
And so the other thing I noticed a convergence between a major support and resistance level and that trend line.
Boom. Sweet spot. I call them sweet spots, bro.
Sweet
Yep.
spot, right? So I'm looking at an energy point right there. That's what
There
I
you
call
go.
it, right? So when I see that energy point, I'm like, okay, that gives me an even higher probability that what I'm talking about is going to happen. So now I'm like, I know that price could break through, but it's very likely, given the energy that's there, that anything that looks like a break is probably fake
Right.
because of how much energy that there is right there. So I draw my arrows to say we really honestly think this thing is going to come down. So look what happened. When price came down, it almost ranged between the two arrows that I drew a few days before.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it was
That's
just one
good.
of those things that just gave me that level of confidence. The other thing, and I want to just bring out, you talk a lot about and have taught a lot about proper risk management. So I want to say something about that real quick. You know, you can get in these trades, and you've said this plenty of times, Farhan. You can get in these trades, think you got something going, maybe even be right about something for a little while, but if you don't use proper risk management, it can still blow yourself out or get stopped out or whatever.
Right.
And so one of the things that I made sure that I did was to be patient about how we got into this, right? I could have, tried to get in, too early, or I could have set a stop loss that might have been too close, right? And, would have run into some problems. And so right now, this one, I was able to get in and do pretty well with it. Oh, and so I guess thinking about where it was going to go, once I knew that it was going to bounce, I had two places where I could give a pretty reasonable um, uh, um, assumption about what it might do. So I knew it'd bounce off this, or I expected it to bounce off this. I can't say that I know because the market can do anything, but I expected a bounce off of this. Then I expected it to go to one or a couple of nearby support and resistance zones. So I felt like it had the potential to bounce up again off that. It had the potential to go through it, which it happened to actually do. And if it went through it, I expected it's probably going to bounce somewhere around here where I have this circle. And you see,
Mm-hmm.
it wicked to that spot and bounced up,
Yep.
right? So given that this was there, I was able to set a take profit in an appropriate place so that I was able to, once it wicked down there, took my profit out and didn't have to worry about the the potential loss here. Now I could have stayed in. Actually, I had two positions. So one position stays in and is set to the set appropriately to be able to handle this drawback in order for us to see another downward movement. But because I wanted to take that partial profit, I went ahead and took that partial profit right there at that support zone.
No, and that's good, man. And you know what's so cool about where did you enter at the 618 or did you wait for that confirmation?
What I did was I set a trap. So I set a couple of traps actually. So what I did was I entered. What did I do? Let me see if I can remember how I did this, because I set like 2 or 3 traps, and that 618. I believe I had one of my traps set right there at the 618 as a sell limit. So expecting it to go up to the 618 and then drop back down, I put a sell limit there, and so it triggered that trap once it did that. I was uncertain about this level, this support level, and so what I did was I set a sell stop below that level to say if it passes through that level of support, then it's a good chance it's going to keep going to the next level. So I had a sell stop right below that level so that I could ride the first trap down to it. If it bounced, I'd be done. I wouldn't be stuck in 2 positions going negative. And then the second position kicked in once it passed that level. And I was comfortable enough to put that second position at a slightly higher lot because that break through that second area would tell me that it's a stronger probability to go down further.
That's good.
So I had a small lot on the first trap and a larger lot on the second trap, and ended up catching both of them.
No, that's good. So how I look at it, which kind of plays it out perfectly. You see the bearish 4-hour candle that broke your trend.
Mm-hmm.
That first red candle.
Yeah,
you see where it wicked. If you set a sell stop there, right?
Yeah.
Same thing, right? After the retest, if you set a sell stop there, then what? You're able to catch and ride that down to your next zone.
That's right. Yeah.
So you could do that, guys. This is why I like to put a sell stop after that 4-hour candle closes. Or
mark that so people can see what we're talking about there. You're talking about right there.
Yep. Which would have been perfect, right? You wouldn't have got stopped out. You would have been able to ride that whole thing down.
Yep.
So that would have been a great area to put a sell stop. Another thing that you could have done after the retest to the 618, you see how he had that bearish engulfing candle there.
Right. This one right here.
Yep.
Yeah.
You could, when that's done, that's confirmation that we're continuing on the downside, right? We got our continuation. We got our engulfing candle, right?
Right.
You can market execute that joint, and you put your stop loss above where that thing wicked.
Right up here.
Yep. So that's another way that you guys could play that particular trade. You know, once you get those confirmations, when we talk about price action, that's all we're talking about. Like, get the confirmation that we're going in the same direction that I'm thinking that we should be going. And that's where patient comes in, right? Because I mean, it could be 9 a.m. and that doggone thing not gonna close until 12, and you like, oh man, you know, I wanted to get in that joint all day. You've been itching, but you wait for the confirmation. You just wait for that thing to close, and look at all those pips he was still able to catch. That's a good day.
Yeah, that was a good day.
That is a good day. What questions do you guys have with that, man? Great visual, bro. Anybody have anything? Okay, let's look at that. Go ahead, Ryan. I'm gonna let you go. go ahead and get in on that GU.
All right, it won't take too long.
Appreciate you guys still rocking with us, man.
I think the live quit again. I don't know if it really matters.
I recorded. I'll put this in there.
Okay. All right, can you see everything?
Yep. Is that a head and shoulders on that GU? What in the world? Did I miss that?
So something I've been really looking at or focused on is kind of how Christopher Derrick trades and how he's able to just find the zones. And it's like so simple that I think we just overcomplicate it. GU is a perfect example of this. So this is just on the hour, and I've noticed that Christopher Derrick's always trading on the hour. It seems like his zones are so small and it's so precise. But GU has been a perfect example of what he does for, I mean, however long this is, almost all March. So especially this past, like, what is it, couple days here?
Yep.
But I mean, like, look at these zones, how perfect they are.
Yep.
All the way up, just start always stair stepping all the way up here.
Just retesting it. Support as resistance. Report as yep. Oh, that's so good. I can see that.
Yeah. And like GU is just, I've never really paid attention to GU until this week, mainly because of Rondell pointed out, because he trades this for London session every morning and just kills it. But now look at right here, like this past couple days. Here, tested it, dropped, came back, tested again, dropped, and now right here, we're sitting here, we're testing this again. So I'd expect this to drop, probably break through here, and just continue along its way down. And the whole way down, so you can just check the RSI too to see what it's doing. Like here you got divergence. So I mean, it's real simple. It's like right in front of us.
Yeah.
You can just ride this thing all the way down. I mean, at some point I do expect this to pull back a little bit because it hasn't really pulled back probably at all. News will probably do that.
Oh my goodness, that is so good, bro.
But yeah,
I just love it.
Stair stepping the whole way up.
I just love how, okay, again, we talked about support and resistance, right? If it breaks, it has to retest. Look at how it broke and then it price intersected at some point before it continued its up movement. Like that is so, it's perfect. I mean, if we just learn to do that, at its simplest form, right? Just literally letting price break, putting a buy limit where it freaking where support was, because now it should be resistance. Look how many times you eat on that. You eat on that 1, 2, 3, 4 times, and then you try to do it again and you lose one. Then you go, maybe the trend broke, let's go to another. So you're 4 out of 5, you 80%.
Yeah.
And you can even put 30 pip stop losses on all these and you still would have been good.
Oh man, that's like so, I mean, and I know, we do this all the time, and that actually kind of goes right in line with that training that you did, that little short video you did for us a couple months back, Ryan. Same thing. And this just puts it in perspective.
Right.
Like do me a favor, just so we put this in members only.
Yep.
Just draw those little boxes where support and resistance intersect, so they know where to get in.
Yeah, for sure. Just kind of going off. Whoop, what happened there?
Yeah, just draw like a little small rectangle, bro. Like start. Yep.
Oh, you want like where they wick?
No, just make your boxes a little smaller. I just want people to see that, show that visual, man. Yep. Boom, right there, like that. That's perfect. A little wider, a little wider, a little wider.
Wider.
Yep.
I'm struggling with this box here.
There we go. Okay, boom, do it again on the next one. So they see that the doggone things are touching. If you put the buy limit right where that last resistance was, right? Now you know how. Now you can get in and eat.
Right.
That is just. I mean, that is so good, man. That is so good. I mean, we complicate these trade. We complicate trading so much.
Definitely.
And all we have to do is just follow the pattern. I mean, it's giving us the pattern.
It's right there.
Boom. The code was cracked, man. Now it's time to eat.
Yeah.
Then then what's crazy is he draws his trend line. You see where the doggone thing breaks, right? And then we just go to the next pattern. I mean, it's perfect. Look at that.
Yeah.
And again, here's what Alvarez just said. 1, 2, 3, break on 4. Reset.
Yep. There you
Drop.
go.
Look at that.
What's this come out to be here?
Man, trading in a nutshell, man.
For sure.
It just frustrates me that it took me so long to figure that out, man.
I think it's the way it goes for everybody.
It do. It go that way for everybody.
Yeah. Like just now it's starting to click. Actually, I watched a video that I've already watched before this week. I was like, duh.
Yeah, no, this is like, this is good, man. It's like trading 101, man. But which could also be like PhD trading.
Right.
Yeah, because you get past all the complicated stuff, and you just you found a way to keep it simple and yet be very precise. It just it's dope.
Very.
It's real dope.
Yeah, that's all I had though. So it's back on you.
Man, guys, I mean, what else can we say, man? We've been on here for a little while longer, but this is just good. Y'all got me out here wanting to trade GU.
Got me wanting to break one of my rules, man. One of my rules, I don't trade on Thursdays, man.
He said I don't trade on Thursdays. What's so significant about Thursdays?
Nah, it's probably going to be a temporary rule, but right now it's a rule to help me manage the mindset.
There you go.
The mindset of greed, right? So I've been winning all week, right? And I'm over. I think I'm a little bit over. I'm a little bit over 10% or 20% profit on my balance. So, given what my goal is, there's no need for me to, overdo that. So
absolutely not.
So when I get to Thursday, if I haven't put a trade in by, before the morning I get to work or whatever, I might look at markets. I might still be in trades, but I'm not entering a new trade. Because when I do that, I tend to be rushed. I feel rushed because it's Thursday. The market's going to close on Friday. So I feel like I'm anxious and I'm trying to rush into getting in something. Now, as my discipline becomes more consistent, then sure, it's not like Thursdays are taboo. It's just a consistent sort of discipline training that I'm on right now, where I do what I got to do the beginning of the week. Whatever trades I've got into, they're good. But come Thursday, if I haven't gotten into anything, I'm not starting a new one on Thursday.
No, that makes sense. And a lot of times there's a lot of volatility on Friday anyway. Some stuff that you might not want to get into. I know I actually, and that's a good rule. I actually had a rule. I told myself never trade on Sunday. And then a couple weeks ago, I think we got so excited about CJ. Man, I allowed myself to take a trade on a Sunday and lost. Yeah. I'm like, see, you know what? That's what happens, man, because you got to allow the market to set itself up. You know what I'm saying? Like the market needs to tell me what it wants to do for the week before I take trades. You know, I'm like,
Right.
oh man, maybe I can get in all day. And the thing gap, it's going down, y'all. We gotta, next thing you know, I lose $400. I'm like, God, dog, you see,
Yeah.
we don't mess with the doggone market on Sunday. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah, no doubt. You got to set those rules. You got to set what works for
Yeah.
you, just so you can keep that mindset right.
Well, and I'm gonna be honest, guys. That's when it clicked. Like, if you can literally create your rules and stick to them, like Amy, she was like, "Yo, no, I'm not taking any short-term trades. I'm waiting for like my confirmation on UJ." You know what I'm saying? Like, that's phenomenal patience and discipline. You know what I'm saying? Or like, people, like you said, you reach your goal for the week and you say, listen, I'm done for the week. I don't need to continue to trade and over trade and over leverage and all that other stuff. Like,
Right.
And for me, sometimes it becomes a game, and that's when I get scared. That's why I have separate accounts. Like, if you guys know, like, I have my big account, man. Man, unless I'm ready to really get some like long-term trading in, like, I do not touch that account. You know what I'm saying? Like, somebody, like, I got a little smaller accounts, like one with a like $1,600 in there. Like, I'll be in, and I'm kind of in this, I literally just did this one, man. This was the one for, my wife wanted to go to, she wants to go to, where are we going? Dominican Republic. And she was like, I want to go to Dominican. I'm like, okay, I put $200 in the account. We like 3 weeks in and we got like 1,600. Like, I'm literally over trade. Like y'all send me, that's one. I'm like, all right, whatever. I'll try this trade. You know what I'm saying? But my bigger account that I've grown, I learned to become disciplined in that, and I've watched it like grow over time. You know what I'm saying? I've watched it like just go from like $1,200 to $16,000. You know what I'm saying? And I withdrew about 7,000 from the account, bro. You know what I'm saying? And so we again, man, it's just been a different, and again, I didn't get there until, I started setting rules for myself and following them. And, I'm not going to allow anybody to tear me from my rules. So we'll get there, man. You guys see it, man. This market is showing it's rear, it's head to us, it's showing us what it wants to do. We just kind of get on board. I mean, for the most part, we got it. I think each and every one of us have what it takes to make a lot of money in this market. Like, we just have to be disciplined, trust our analysis, and move. And then the fact that we all can come together, right? And we all can have like different perspectives. Like, I was so wrong on EA, and Court was like, bro, this is what I see. Was that EA or GA? It might have been.
EA.
You said, what was it?
It was EA.
EA, yeah, bro, you set me straight, bro. I'm like, okay, I see it now. You know what I'm saying? And because you was able to set me straight, you know what I'm saying? I was able to have a little success with that pair. And so, it's just, I mean, you guys don't understand kind of, the value that you add to my trading as well. Zach said, I marked up my first chart today. Okay, Zach. Hey, bro, you keep that up, bro. You show me that chart, dog. We might put you in the pips and the charts and pips group.
That's what's up.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. We'll see your work, bro. We put you up there with the rest of us.
That's how it starts, man. You start drawing them lines, and you see price do what you analyze, what you said it would do, and it's also helpful. It's a tremendous help to be in the community. Let me just make a plug for the learning community, because being able to hear and see, like you were saying, Ferran, the ideas of other people on the same pair you're looking at, man, that's tremendous. Even if I don't say anything about it, even if I don't give commentary, just being able to see that, wow, okay, somebody else saw it similarly, to the way that I saw it, right? Or someone pointed out something that I hadn't looked at before, and when I look at it a second time, I can see exactly where they're coming from. Man, that means a lot, man. It's a whole lot better to study in a group than it is to try to figure it out on your own.
Right, absolutely. I wish I could figure out what the heck CJ is doing right now, man. That thing.
I want to know that one too.
No,
that's for me all day.
It's you know what? It's been playing. You know, that's what it does, though. Yes, Amy, it's recorded. I'll put in the members only. But CJ, that's what it does, man. It made a huge move yesterday, and then now it's like, okay, I'm just gonna chill. I guarantee you tonight, right now, it's 8-3, 8-2. Listen, guys, like buy right now. If you're not in it, buy that right now.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's right. It's right in that area, bro. I don't see it going under like 82.05. If it even goes down that far, I don't even think it's gonna go past this 82.30, right? And then we're just gonna, then we should see its move, right? 85.3. I'm sorry, 82.3 is the next area, all the way up to maybe the 85 area, man. I think I showed it yesterday. Like if UJ is a long-term buy, CJ's a long-term buy. Those two kind of move similarly. This, that yin pair, they move very similarly. So only thing is CJ kind of moves a little slower. It's a snail, bro. It is a snail.
Did you see that all the JPY pairs dropped again, like hard? But when you go and look at the index for the yen, it wasn't moving at all.
No, I didn't look at the index, but I did see GJ and UJ and CJ and AJ all drop.
Yeah, like I was trying to figure out what was going on because I'm in both of them. I'm lost.
Yeah, you shouldn't have, bro. That ain't. I mean, see, CJ. I'm telling you, if we got in at CJ, okay, it took us a lot. We got back in at the 82.5 area. I mean, right now we're only like we have like a max of 20 pip drawdown, and then now it's bouncing off again. So all I did was, heck, put in another buy. Thank you. You just got me
right.
Position.
Right.
I'm confident in this pair, man. That it's shown us what it wants to do.
Hey, I got a question for you guys.
Go ahead.
I think this might be a rules thing, but it's also sticking to rules. It's kind of, I feel like it's hurting me. So, like, this week, like, I was having a phenomenal week until today, actually. But the thing is, like, I see pairs that go way up, and I'll be up, like, Fran, I think we kind of talked about this a little bit ago, too, where I see my pairs going up, like, 30, 40, maybe even 50 pips sometimes. And I'm thinking, all right, I should just close these out, but yet I don't close them out because my TP is up higher, up like 70, 80 pips or whatever I drew up. But then they'll turn around on me and come back down, and then I'm in the negative, possibly get stopped out. The reason I don't close them out, though, is because my markup, I'm trying to do like a 2-to-1 ratio, right? Mm-hmm. So now if I close them out, I'm now going against my rules and what I marked up. So it's like, if I'm closing them out early, I feel like I can't figure out what my win percentage is. I mean, any recommendations on that? Like right now I'm looking at my account. I'm like, man, I should just close out everything this morning. And I'd be a lot like more up than what I am right now.
So I think you got your answer, bro. Christopher Derrick just showed you on the hourly the different steps, right? So right now you're trying to do intraday trading, right? Mm-hmm. Which means we're scalping more so than we're swing trading. Okay. When you're talking to intraday trading and more scalping, you're typically not going to get anything more than 30 to 50 pips moves, right? If you look at most of the pairs that we're trading, we're not getting those huge swings, right? Maybe once every now and again, right? The thing ranges, 80% of the time. So we're just trying to catch those small short-term pips. You know, one thing I've noticed is, man, you know, if you look over time, price doesn't move that much from a percentage perspective, right? Like overall, like it may have huge 70, 80 pip swings, but at the end of the day, it might only end up like 5 pips more than what it ended the day before. You know what I'm saying? Or something like that. And so
Right.
we need to understand that. Like we need to now take these opportunities that are given, man. When you get, I know we talked about it, man. When you get 30 pips in profit, bro, you should be taking your 20 pips.
Yeah, I keep trying to think of that too, and like how that adds up and like add to a percentage.
And then also, if you're up 50 pips, and you're looking at it from an account perspective, you just literally just took, you know, 20 cents and turned it into, you know, $20. I mean, to me, that's a phenomenal game, right? We're talking, I mean, I don't even, you guys don't make me do math right now. It's like,
well, it depends on the size of your you know, the size of your balance, how much percentage of your balance you just gained. But yeah, that's
I'm saying it. But even if you take $1 and turn it to $100, man, if you take $1, turn it into $50, like that's crazy. I know your rules say this, but maybe you need to now, you know, and our zones are a little wider, right? I know, like with CJ, you know, my zones may be, you know, 30 to 40 pips, right? Like, let me show you this real quick, and then we won't keep everybody. You guys are gonna look at my CJ chart and be like, "Oh man, that thing is ugly," which it is. Like, you see all these little orange lines, bruh?
Yeah.
Like, these are just little areas. Like, I'm just pipping in all these little areas, right? We're not looking kind of like, you know, we're stepping. Let me go down to the 1 hour. And this is something that this is what I did when it was falling. But you see all these little areas? I know, right, that price is gonna move in these little areas, right? So from here, 1.6 to here, which is 80. So we're talking about 56 pips there, right? We're talking these little areas, these little stepping areas. So I know that, listen, man, once I get about 40, probably should take profit. And if it continues to go like it did yesterday, right? So here, yesterday, right, we had this movement from like 81.6, right, to about 82.8. So we understand that, okay, that's an anomaly. That typically doesn't happen. But if you see, even yesterday, like it moved, we had a hiccup. It came here, it tested, it dropped down, and then it went back up. So even in the mix of this zone, so right now we're just ranging pretty much I said buy. We know that, listen, price is probably not going to go no higher than this 82.8 area. And if it does, it's going to give us a little drawback, and then it'll break up. And we can go to every pair and see that, man. So like when we're trying to catch 70, 80 pips on a trade, you know, that's more of a couple day type. That's more of a 2 to 3 day type of deal. When you're doing what we're doing, zone to zone, intraday trading, you know, man, your goal should be 40 you should probably say, listen, I'm going for 40 pips. If I get 30, I'm at least getting 20. Once that thing goes 30 pips in profit, then you move your stop loss 20 pips in. And then you take 40 pips and go. Come on, man. I gave you the spreadsheet, bro. You know what happens if you 20 pipped it up the whole way.
Right.
We all want to be Stevenson, which is phenomenal. But hey, even Stevenson said that he traded the EUR GBP, right? And he took his profit. He called about 100 and something pip move, but he took profit up here and been done ever since. Look at this. Look at this thing. Bro, look at how it just ranges. Like, we literally it's not moving. Over the course of I'm going to the day chart. I mean, look where it closed on this day. Look where it closed on this day. Look where we're literally we're not getting tons of movements, right? Enough movement. I mean, here we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, and we literally moved about 100 pips.
Right.
So we're swinging. We're trying to swing and get these 80 pip movements, but it's going to take us some days to get them. You're going to have these, these ups and downs, these ebb and flows of the market. Or if you just focus on your 40 pips for the day and then come back the next day to get 40 again, then man, you'll catch most of them. You'll be where you want to be. You won't have to worry about your drawback. Like I told you, I think I told you before, man. 80% of the time, bro, I'm gonna see blue. Every time we draw something up and we just follow the market, we're gonna see blue. It's just up to us on whether or not we want to take it.
Yeah, that's my problem too. So I never take it. I'm always like, it's gonna keep going with my TP.
Right, and then how many, and that's the thing, man. Our TP, yeah, that's the goal, but it's like everything else, man. You shoot for the stars, you land on the moon, bro.
No doubt.
Yeah,
and I'm glad you asked that question, Ryan, because I'm dealing with that right now with this NZDJPY. When I did my analysis on it, I'm looking at the swing, and I'm seeing 400 pips, man.
Bye, Jen.
And now I use my measurement tool, so I know that we're talking about 50, 60 days. But that question of once you get in, do you stay in and ride it those 50, 60 days, or do you take the ebbs and flows, right? Get in, get out for the pullback, and then, get in again as it goes up. So I like what you're talking about, though. Like, take that profit, take it where it is. And then if you need to enter again, when it pushes up again after the pullback, then go ahead and get it.
Right.
I like that. So I'm glad, Ryan. I'm glad you asked that, because I was looking at that right now with this NJ because I've been in it now. I've been in it since Monday. Now I've eaten off it. I got some advice from y'all maybe a day or two ago, and so I went ahead and ate off it. But I got 2 positions that are still open. And I'm just, I'm like, okay, I can ride this all the way, or I can just ride it to the next zone, take my profit, and then get back in again after the retrace.
Yep.
Right.
I've noticed that too. I did actually this morning. I think it was a swipe I took. AUD CHF, I think it was. Once I saw it went through some resistance, I actually just collected it, close it out, and then I set a buy limit down on that support then, and it came right down, picked me up, and then went right back up
again. Yeah, that's good. So you just keep setting those traps. Yeah. That makes sense. Okay, that's cool. I think that's how I'm gonna ride this NJ, because it's got a long way to go for the next 60 days. So that just means I can eat off it, for about that long.
There we go. Yeah, man. I think we know. I think we have the ability, man, to really do some damage in this market. We just gotta, just continue to believe in it, and then don't give the market back our hard-earned
That's right.
Tips, man. These things
Pro at that one.
come by, man.
That's right. I ain't giving them back.
Bruh, these things are because I mean, and to be honest, man, unless you're in a major like reversal area,
Mm-hmm.
For the most part, man, you can, you know, yeah, I've had a couple, man. I had a trade do out $500 in the hole. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking probably about 120 pips or something like that.
Yeah.
I just let it ride out because I knew exactly. To some point, bro, I'm not in the major reversal zone. Price probably gonna come back to that area.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's a, you know, it's just a mindset thing, man. You know, once I've learned that, especially if I'm in between two major zones, once I've learned, you know, the more I learn, I'm like, okay, listen, it's got to come back and retest.
Yeah.
That's just what it does.
Yeah. See,
You know,
this NJ, man, is at the bottom of a major reversal zone.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. So
I think that's what makes it tempting is that I'm looking at the zone where I caught it at on Sunday, and the last time it was at this zone was November of 2017, and the last time before that it was at this zone was April of 2017. So I'm like, it hasn't been down here, you know, for a little minute. You know what I mean? So it's like I know it's going up. I know it's you know, I know where it's going, but I also don't want to lock up the money in a long-term trade right now because I'm dealing with a smaller account. I'd rather just, you know, take those ride it zone to zone like what you're talking about. So that's what I'll be doing.
right. No, I feel you there, and you know, I'm with you. Like the GA, man, that thing is tempting just to kind of just stay in and just allow it to move. Again, major zone. If Ripple go down to the 30 area, to the 30 cent area, guess what? Man, we should be riding that thing like
all the way
to the end of time, bro. That thing should be, you know, who knows, man. Ripple, you know, I think Bitcoin is gonna be like the master. It's gonna be like the gold standard of like crypto. But then you're gonna have these other cryptos, right? That now that we use as like the currency you know, the exchange.
Right.
And so Ripple might be the one that's you know, might be like the US dollar, right? It might be the one that most people prefer. So that thing could potentially move to a high level down the road. So but definitely buy you some. You know what I'm saying? If you don't have a Bitfinance account or Bitstamp account or something like that, bro, get one ASAP and buy you some Ripple.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because that thing is prime.
It's cheap.
Yeah, no,
definitely cheap.
Good stuff, man.
All right, guys, I'm going to bed.
Yep. Get on out of here.
Good stuff, y'all.
Thanks for your time, guys.
No doubt.
All
See
right.
y'all.
See ya.
Yeah, later.
Later.